their platforms, whether it be like social media or, you know, exposing your music in through like flyers or getting shows. Pretty much anything that is involved with being an artist is what we'll kind of cover in these sessions. So I'll go ahead and start off. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Okay. So this is Alton's band, Prisoners. You can find them on Spotify. I don't know if you can find them on Apple Music, but I'm assuming. So basically, when you go to upload your music, you will have these little like intro statements that you can prepare. You can prepare bios, you can prepare all sorts of information on here, and it kind of helps people get a feel for what you're doing musically, and it gives people something to read and understand kind of where you're coming from. Like, for example, Prisoners here, they have their bio. This is all their members, all their information, things like that. And when you go into your DistroKid, which is what most artists will use to upload their music to Spotify or Apple Music, YouTube Music, things like that, that is where you would be putting all these bios and things. Can go ahead and also look at mine. So this is my Spotify page. I only have a single, an EP, and an album uploaded right now. I'm supposed to upload another album, but there were some technical difficulties with it. We won't go into that. But basically, what I'm trying to do with my music is I'm trying to give it to people who stream video games on Twitch. And YouTube all have these really strict DMCA rules, which stands for like, it's like something media copyright act. So basically what that entails is if I were to play, let's say if I were to play the middle, I would get a DMCA strike on my account based off of the fact that that music is copyrighted and I don't have any written permissions to be using that music. And so YouTube will take your video down and they'll issue you a strike. And if you get 3 strikes, your account is banned and terminated from YouTube. So that's my goal, is to kind of create music that streamers and content creators can use behind their music, because there's not a whole lot of lyrics. It's mostly just music. So we'll listen to the number 1 track on my Spotify. Just for like a minute or two.
I don't think we can hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
Oh shit. I hate this thing. Okay. But yeah. So we'll just skip that part for now, but this is where you would find all the music. And so every artist that has this verified artist page is people that have uploaded their music through DistroKid. You'll get this little badge. It's cool. And so there's also a website that kind of breaks down who's streaming your music, when. So you do want to be paying close attention to those. I don't know if I can pull it up on my screen, whether you can see that or not. But anyway, there's that little piece of information, and basically what it gives you is just all things surrounding your demographics, where your music is being streamed from, etc. So let me go ahead and screen share that screen. Okay, cool. So basically, this is kind of where we're at in terms of the last 7 days. It'll give you this breakdown of the last 7 days. You can pick 7 days, 30 days, yearly, really whatever you want. And so it'll give you all of your statistics here, your top songs, which are probably only these ones because I probably don't have a whole lot of stuff going on. But then there's the audience tab, where you can kind of see, okay, this is when listeners listen to my music. So we had 1 listen on New Year's Eve, January 5th, etc., etc. It goes on and on. And you can just kind of view your breakdowns here and kind of figure out where your music is going, where where anything is going really, and it'll even show you if other people have added it. I don't know if any of y'all have seen this page before. But yeah, so that's, and you can tell their gender, age, what they also region, which is really, really important because that allows you to kind of dictate when you're going to be releasing songs. Like for me, I just released them 12 a.m. in your time zone, but I know some people do choose to do that based off of like, okay, I'm gonna release my music on Friday at 6 p.m. my time, whatever you may want to set it as. So basically, that's how I go through my just general statistics and how to create a plan from there. So basically, my goal here is to help Alton with kind of finding that audience to reach, how to market your music on social media, things like that. So for me, it's not that big of a deal whether my music gets out there or not, because my music is mostly for me. But that's why I also brought Alton in here to help as well, so that we can kind of brainstorm some ideas for them to kind of, follow along and maybe build whatever social media he's planning on building, or, finding him gigs, or finding him like playlists to be added to, things like that. That's kind of what I wanted to accomplish with today's workshop.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. So I would love to hear from Alton and like his perspective of like where where you see the band going. Cause I think obviously like the first step with like marketing is always keeping the customer and like them in mind. So like where do you see your band? Like what is your band's like target audience, more or less?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So basically with my band, we're gonna be I don't know if we should just be targeting one specific type of people, because if you do that, then you're only narrowing your audience. So like we're more about all like having bringing people together as a sort of way. So we want to target as many people as we can. And I don't know, I guess I just want to be able to reach a lot more people than we normally do, because we're a metal band. So obviously we're only going to be targeting metalheads and stuff like that. We want to reach out to more people. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that based off of, I come from the same kind of background as you do, where I only
Yeah.
played in metal bands. I don't play any other type of music. And me doing all of my like electronic stuff, that has nothing to do with what I actually do in the music industry, that's exactly what I do, is I allow people to reach audiences that maybe they don't usually go for, because I know I've had a few customers that come through the Edge Bar when I used to do shows with Regina down there. They're just people looking for a drink. They're trying to chill, and they're not wanting to sit. They don't initially go in anticipating to be sitting there listening to metal music all night. They don't.
Yes.
But there's certain ways and certain things that you can say, or certain things you can do in order to kind of sway them into doing it and sway their opinion. And I've seen plenty of people, be apprehensive at first, but then I see them walk out the door. They've got CDs and merch and stuff in their hands. And they look like they had the time of their life. So I guess really what I think is huge is like going through kind of how you want to write your music, and all starts there. You don't have a band unless you write music. So I think just even accounting for, okay, I'm gonna write this song that means a lot to me, but how do I make other people care about what I'm writing about?
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe walk us through a little bit of maybe you guys' writing process, kind of how things come together, and we can kind of work from there.
Well, usually writing process, because our band has 7 members in it. So we usually try to get together as our schedules will let us. But usually it's always one person that's behind it. So it's either me or some other week could be somebody else. But our process mainly comes to like our life experiences, what we've seen, just things like that. But as a band, like we try to make sure we have everything done before we all get together. Because once we get together, we can put it together. We can put the song together as a band, playing live together. And that we just hope we can resonate with more people out there, do it with that music.
Yeah, and I think for a band especially like yours where everybody kind of does fully prepares their own thing and you only really put it together every once in a while, I think what would be
Yeah.
a really good strategy is we used it on Better on the Inside a lot, especially during the pandemic, is we kind of recorded, ourselves like working through a songwriting process, or we went live on Instagram during practice and
Yeah.
allowed our community to kind of outreach through lives because, I understand that, when your phone is in the room with a bunch of different instruments, the phone doesn't pick it up too well. But even
Yeah.
if you alone sit there in your room, you go live for like, let's say an hour, and you sit there and you say, okay, I want to get, the chorus of this song done today, or I want to write lyrics to this song today, whatever
Yeah.
your prerogative is for that specific day, I would just do it on live because then it allows your audience to kind of like ask you questions like, oh, Alton, how did you come up with this riff? Or,
Oh yeah,
why
that's
did
right. Yeah.
like tell us more about this like situation you're writing about. It gives them the opportunity to kind of pick your brain about what's happening. And I would
Yes.
highly encourage your band members to kind of do the same thing as you don't have to do it, you know, a lot, but if you do choose to go down that route, just make it consistent. Just do it.
Yeah.
Sit down
Yeah.
and say, okay, let's say Wednesday night at 5 p.m., I'm going to sit down, go live for an hour, and that's going to be that.
It
Mhm.
also gives your like audience or potential new audience members like a feeling of like, oh, they're involved in this song, so they're gonna
Yeah.
more or less like, if you end up putting that song out, they
Yeah.
feel attached to it and they feel a connection to it, so they're probably gonna listen to it more.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Okay.
that's a
So
good idea.
interaction
Honestly, I
is
never
key
thought
then.
of that. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's something you can kind of do all the time. That's something that doesn't really have to be, I have to do it with my band members, I have to do it at a
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. But also when it does come to show time, so you've booked your gig and let's say you've got a gig coming up in 2 weeks. What do you guys do to prepare for the gig if it's, let's say 2 weeks out?
Just constant promotion. Like promoting. When we just started doing paper flyers, we never really did it. We used to do it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But paper flyers was a way for us to reach a broader audience because social media, you're only targeting your followers unless you're paying for a promotion. But with paper flyers, there's more visibility. Like if you put it in the city where people normally won't see it, that's what we usually been doing to draw in a crowd. As for the band, we just get together as many as like practice, just keep doing that. I mean, and if your music sounds good while you're playing live, you're obviously going to build a bigger fan base around that.
Agreed, definitely. I think that your paper flyer method is actually a really good way to advertise music, just any shows going on. I know you're out there in Yuma and it may be a little different than it is here in Tucson,
Yeah,
but I think that, that is something that we lack a lot in Tucson is it's mostly, digital flyers or a Facebook
yeah,
event page. I think it's been forever since I've seen an actual paper flyer up about somebody's show, and I think that that's a really good tool for anybody to use
hmm
in order to promote an event that they've got going on. So I really like that idea, and I also think that, you know it is kind of hard to create those, like put out those flyers, and some people just may not understand. They may not understand, that you guys are like a metal group or a hardcore group, or that's basically what the lineup is going to be.
yeah.
But I think just even being able to get your word out and get what you have to say out is really important. think you got
Yeah.
it down pat pretty much.
Mhm.
If there's any like, so you don't do a whole lot, like you do social media like posting, but it maybe isn't as frequent, or
Yeah, it's only like shoot, maybe I think only when we practice something comes up. I mean, I'm thinking a better way to go about it is to build up the content and then just have something to gradually release during a week. Because like right now my band's not active. We're taking a short break and there's nothing that we're able to post because we have no content.
agreed.
Yeah, like consistency is key when it comes to social media marketing. So even if you're not currently active, but maybe you have like photos from a past performance, you could just say,
Yeah.
hey, remember, like throwback, or remembering this performance, looking forward to the next one, hope to see you all there, like something like that. And just
Yeah.
keeping an active following on your Instagram is important. I know it's
Hmm.
difficult from time to time to like remember, but Instagram actually has a lot of like business tools now that are free to use. You don't have to pay for them.
Yeah.
Like believe scheduling posts is on there. If not, like it's probably on some other platform. But
Hmm.
yeah, keeping up and staying active is how you can get more engagement from your followers.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so then let's say it's, the night before the show, or, the morning before. Like, what do you guys do to prepare for the show, or prepare, like, do you guys have merch? Do you worry about a merch booth at all? Do you have any merch?
We had merch, but it just sold out our first show, and we just have never been able to get it back again. But the routine for shows, like the day before, is just sleep, rest, do what we can, make sure we're like, how do you say it, 100% for the next day. Because I mean, I feel like, because I do have even though we're a metal band, I feel like we should have some standards on how we should proceed and be professional out there. So I feel
Yeah.
like having most of my people and guys up to their 100% best is something that we can do to have a good show and have a good interaction with our audience.
Yeah, I think that's really big, is a lot of people like that maybe aren't a part of, the music industry on the back end. There is a lot of professionality that does go into how you show up to a show, what you guys do at the show. Like, everybody is watching you, and I don't
Hmm.
think that people quite fully recognize that. So I would, at least in that respect, I would really like, it would be really interesting to see, an artist make like a TikTok series on this, is like how we as artists will prepare for a show, or how certain, like, things that we know right off the bat, like, staying for each other's sets. That's huge.
Yeah.
Helping band members if, someone forgets a cable. If you want to be that person that hands out the cable, like that, though, just the unspoken rules of being an artist. I think that would be a really interesting way to, gain traction. Because I don't know, if do you guys have TikTok?
We do, but we really don't post there as much.
Okay, so that would be an awesome idea for starting
Yeah.
starting to gain traction on TikTok, because it has that kind of algorithm where it's
Oh
not
yeah,
as
definitely.
obvious as
Oh,
YouTube
you can
is.
gain so many fans so quickly on TikTok. It's actually kind of ridiculous on how quickly you can gain a following.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like really quickly.
Yeah, I feel like through the pandemic, it actually really helped a lot of musicians out there because a lot of unknown musicians got found through that.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably half of my Spotify now is like TikTok musicians.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm on metal TikTok. That's where most of my TikTok content comes from, and I think
Yeah.
it's really interesting to kind of see how everybody else takes it. Like, I've seen, some bands just post clips of their shows or music videos that are cropped down to like the TikTok format. I've seen
Yeah.
people, make really goofy, weird TikToks for, their music.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen, it was like, I think it was like the vocalist of Lorna Shore. He literally was joking about one of their songs because they have a choir in it, and so it was like when the choir doesn't realizes that they're singing for a metal song or something like that, and it was just super goofy. And
Yeah.
like, you know, there's so many ideas that you could be putting out there on social media through TikTok. So I would say, like, just encourage your guys to hop on TikTok for maybe like 20 minutes, search the hashtag metal TikTok, and just watch
Yeah.
through about 20 minutes of those. And I guarantee you'll come up with so many different ideas on how to kind of formulate your TikToks, what kind of content people are looking for, but as well as, you know, how to hashtag them appropriately so that you reach the biggest audience possible. Because if you sit there and you put, you know, hashtag prisoners, hashtag Yuma, you know, how many
Yeah.
people are sitting there looking for hashtags about Yuma?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of create a strategy to kind
Yeah.
of create that. But I would just definitely like look at what other people are using as hashtags, and at least on TikTok you can see how many people are using that hashtag. So let's say Yuma, it may have a little number next to it that's like 7,000 like views, but then you go and you put hashtag metal TikTok and it comes up with 7 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, just kind of finding a way to create your hashtags around, and that goes for any social media too, is throwing a hashtag or two onto your posts, even on Instagram, Facebook even now uses hashtags. Like, those are going to be really, really important for just organic growth, because, you know, people will just be searching random things on the internet with that hashtag on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good strategy too for
Mm-hmm.
growing your channel, while also like providing your music, providing your songs, because you don't always have to use the TikTok sounds that you find. You can always just throw your song on there. Y'all are on Spotify, and I'm sure you
Upload it.
use DistroKid. So DistroKid
Yeah.
will create the TikTok sound for you.
Okay. Oh dang. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
We use DistroKid, so yeah, I'll look into that.
yeah, because
Bouncing off of jazz. So sorry.
go for it.
Yeah, like everybody on here is probably sick of me saying this. But, my favorite band currently is Greta Van Fleet, and they kind of don't like social media, but they'll still post on it, obviously.
Yeah.
Where a lot of their following has come from. And literally probably like a couple months ago, and this is how I found them, was just like a random video of their performance on SNL a couple years ago, went viral on TikTok, and then they just gained a ton of followers off of that, and a ton more listeners, including me. But they post like the most like random, like almost like Snapchat videos of them like hanging out and like doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
And in like little clips of like videos they've made and like music videos. So just like TikTok is like one of those like platforms where you can just have more fun with it and still gain a lot of people. My Wi-Fi is awful.
Yeah.
So sorry. But you can just have a lot more fun with it. And I don't know them personally, but when I watch their TikToks, it makes it feel like I have more of like a connection to them. And if my Wi-Fi gets worse, oh my god. I need my Wi-Fi to not. I need my Wi-Fi to hold on to do that.
Yeah.
But definitely cut out. But it just like I don't know them personally, but when you watch like stuff like that just comes from like their camera roll.
Yeah.
It makes you have like more of a connection to them. So I don't know. You can have more fun with TikTok. There's definitely a lot of stupid stuff on there.
Yeah.
Speaking of TikTok, so many
They can even just blow up on TikTok if it like makes enough sense. Like, I don't want to keep going on and on about TikTok, because it's like it's something that like is probably really annoying by now, but it is a really good, strong tool for marketing.
Yeah.
So let's go. I wanted to go over also like kind of, so where are you guys at in terms of like, how do you promote your albums? How do you promote your Spotify and Apple Music page?
We don't. I don't think we really advertised it, because before we were only I think we were only doing like locally, like actual CDs and stuff like that. It
Mhm.
hasn't been a while. Like I think it was just last year, and I don't know. Yeah, it was last year sometime that we barely got it. And then we only advertise it when we release something. So like
Okay.
that. But I think last year we ended up getting on a playlist for like hardcore releases, and it had boosted our numbers. We went up to at least like 400 listeners or subscribe monthly listeners. But since then we've I don't know if you've seen the page, but it dropped down to 60 now. So we don't really promote our pages as much.
Okay. So I think one really good tool that I've kind of found to get people over to your Spotify is like you have to make it as easy as humanly possible for them
Oh
to
yeah,
get from
yeah.
point A to point B. I'm sure you know that, and I'm sure everybody knows that by now, but I've found one of my favorite tools to use is a link tree.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We made one of those. I tried to make one, but it's I've never really advertised it. It's just like there in the bio. So I
yeah,
don't know. Yeah.
that's what I do is I put my link tree just it's in every single one of my bios where anyone on Facebook can just go to my profile, click that link tree, and then it pulls up all the things I've got going on. Like I've got my Spotify on there, I've got my Twitch where I stream my games, I've got everything right there
Yeah.
in one place so that people can even easily just type in my link tree
Uh-huh.
address and then it all pops up. But one thing that I've tried to do and it seems to have worked there for a little bit was if you guys have that expendable money is so you can go to your album
Yeah.
cover on Spotify and it pulls up what they call like the Spotify code where it's just a bunch of weird little lines.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So if you ever go and you play your song and then you go and click on the actual album art, it
Mm-hmm.
should be able to pull up that Spotify link. And what I did was I went to this website. It's called Print Runner. I printed
Yeah.
out 500 stickers of the album
Oh
cover
wow.
with that Spotify code on it, right? And so then you can just slap the stickers on stuff, give them out to people. You can do whatever you
Wow.
want, and all they got to do is pull up their camera open on Spotify, and they'll link right to your album that you're
I've
trying
never
to
even
promote.
thought about that. Yeah. That's actually really cool to do.
Yeah, it's
And
like
you
a
can,
QR code for Spotify.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Apple
Wow.
Music has kind of the same thing going on. I am an avid Spotify you can do it on whether you have a premium or not premium account. You can do it any way you want to. And I think that it may not be as much of a merch piece as it is a promo piece
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because you can use them as merch. Like I've used them as merch and I've sold stickers that have the Spotify QR code on it. But more than anything, it's just to, slap it on a billboard somewhere and some random
Yeah.
person will see it and be like, oh, that looks cool. Let me just scan it real quick. Like things
Yeah.
like that are also maybe little weird ways if that's a huge if you have that expendable money because I understand that as bands we don't make a whole lot of money. We make maybe like $50 a month off shows, so it's
Yeah.
not much.
Yeah.
But if y'all pull together and you say okay bucks and then that's enough to order you
Yeah.
250 stickers between all your members including shipping. So I think that's a really good tool for you to use and maybe take with you to your next band practice.
Yeah. Dang. Wow. Yeah, I've never thought about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and then let's see. So when you get to the show and you've played your set and people are coming up to you afterwards and they're telling you, "Hey,
Yeah.
good set, whatever." Like how do your members handle that? This is more of a like your group question, not just for you, but
We just stay humble. You just stay humble. That's all. That's really what we do about that. I mean, we tell them, yeah, thank you for coming. We really loved you guys, and like we at least try to interact with each person to give them like a unique experience with
mm-hmm.
that. But yeah, that's what we usually try to do. That we usually try to be as humble as we can and be as nice as we can to that.
Yeah, that's huge. I totally agree with that, and I think that it is that kind of like professional where you have to kind of put on your business suit a little bit, and you can't,
Yeah.
because I know I've seen plenty of people, right after they get off stage, they just go get drunk, and then after that they're just kind of gone for the rest of the night. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't talk about it is, while you can, do as you please because it's, a concert. Everybody's here to have fun, but at the same time, you have to be able to be coherent enough to kind of like walk your audience through like those kinds of conversations, being like, thank you so much for coming, because that just
Yeah.
I know that statement alone definitely opens up the conversation more, as opposed to thanks, I know. It kind of shuts it down.
Yeah.
So that's huge, and I think that in that way you can also kind of integrate, your social media, or your next album that's coming out. You can integrate all these sorts of different things into conversations, and people will be more likely to respond to that and be more likely
Yeah.
to go search you on your Spotify. And I would say for that also to take like the QR code of, let's say like your website if you've got one, or your Facebook or your Instagram or your whatever social media you choose to use, is I just printed out the QR code, and it just gave you the Better on the Inside link tree.
Yeah.
And so I
I,
think that's a completely free tool for you to use, is just
I think Linktree has QR codes too. I think that would actually be really cool to use.
yeah, and just like print it out on like a piece of paper, or if you want something with a little more longevity, like to
Yeah.
just print it on like maybe like a piece of like plastic or something like that. But it's I honestly just put it on a piece of paper, throw it in a little plastic sleeve, and it's good. But
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that just having these little things on hand to help you just promote your band, and make it
Yeah.
easy. That's the big thing, is to make it easy, because you can make it as difficult as you want to. You can sit there and make people click through a bunch of crap, but TBH, if I see a random QR code, I typically scan it just to see what it is. That's big too. You could definitely like create a really cool graphic and just throw a
Mhm.
QR code next to it, and just do what you do with your flyers and just put it anywhere you want
Yeah.
to.
Okay. Yeah.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is just to get really creative with whatever ideas. Like, no idea is too small or too large
Hmm.
or too out there. Honestly, probably the more out there that idea is probably what's going to gain more attention, especially in
Yeah.
the digital age. And like, this was like a thing I learned last year in one of my marketing classes. The largest medium in marketing is word of mouth. Even with the rise of digital and social media and online marketing, word of mouth is still the largest medium in marketing. So just getting your name out there as much as possible and spreading it to as many people is still just as important as putting an ad on Instagram or a flyer on a bulletin board. So that's my little tidbit for the day.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
And then if you've got any questions for us about anything that you've got going on, or anything that you have kind of like ideas about but don't really know how to execute,
Um.
or if we covered everything, that works too.
You can
So.
Spotify.
This applies for mostly. So, how would I outsource more into different cities than my own?
That is a really good question. So what I found that, just allowing yourself to kind of break the mold is to, like, maybe I don't know if like, of the groups on Facebook where it's just kind of group, or some random person kind of join some of these groups where, you know, they've got members from all over the world. And, you know, it doesn't always work, but that's one way to do it. That's, to me, the easiest way that I've found. But there's also, like, I've joined a couple regional ones from people in like California. I have one where, like, I think it's from like New York or something.
Mhm.
And people looking for music, and most of the time I just kind of see what happens. If not, if anything, like if you find yourself going on vacation somewhere, just slap
Yeah.
posters or stickers or something on like
Mhm.
on a common ground area. And like I did that when I went to San Diego, is I you know, threw some stickers and threw some posters, and you know, now and then that month I got a few listeners from California. So it really is just kind of like going to places that you normally wouldn't go to, if that makes sense. Like I would have never thought I would have joined a group of musicians in California, but I did. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of taking that momentum. And also, of course, social media, anybody from anywhere can find it anytime. But
Mhm.
if you're looking for more of a like in-person method of doing it, what I say is like when you open for bands that aren't from here,
Yeah.
like to really, you know, see if there's anybody that came out to the show, even if it's like, you know, you've got Tucson people coming up to Yuma, like, you know,
Yeah.
you don't know, you never know where they come from, or, you know, where they've
Mhm.
got friends. I would highly encourage you in that respect to just kind of get to know
So
who you're talking to a little
okay.
bit and figure out, okay, like, is this maybe someone that I can kind of not coerce, but like for lack of better terms, like coerce them into sharing me and my band with their friends that, you know, may not
Okay.
know
So
me.
so just start
Take
networking with
Yeah,
everybody.
just take
Just like build.
every
Okay.
interaction
Okay.
as though you're talking to somebody that like has connections. Just
Yeah.
assume that, because if you go into a conversation and you're kind of like, oh, like they won't share my music, and then you just talk to them like people, of course it's not going to impact them, but I just feel like that's a missed opportunity for you and for prisoners. I think that would just kind of
Yeah.
learning to read those kinds of situations is huge, and that just takes time. Like you don't know it right away, you just kind of listen to what people say and you learn over time, like, okay, like he says he's got friends that like this type of
Mhm.
music, so let me, you know, push the promo a little harder and not as much the just general small talk. Or maybe,
Yeah.
okay, he doesn't seem that into like the networking opportunity. Okay, we're just gonna make sure you leave a good impression, and then he'll tell his friends, and then they'll
Okay.
tell their friends, and things like that. It's a
Mhm.
lot of like reading people, which I know that
Yeah.
as musicians we like to say we're good about, but I've met a lot more people than I like to admit that are not good at reading people.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. So it just goes back to the word of mouth
yep,
promotions. Yeah. Okay.
because everything kind of connects back to that. Because without, you know, somebody talking about your band, you may not get very far if people don't want to be like, damn, I went to that Prisoner show last week and it was great. Like even
Yeah.
just saying that someone saying that will increase traffic, even if they're just checking you out, and maybe it's not their thing, but you gained, you know, a couple impressions, you gained a potential new follower, you gain a lot of things,
Yeah.
even if people aren't necessarily into that. And I think that if you do use things like Instagram Reels, TikTok, and you upload your Instagram Reels to Facebook, those kinds of social media things all also kind of coincide with that, because you're able to reach people you normally
Yeah.
wouldn't. And then you can definitely like build off of that and create different content that's maybe like my routine before a show, and then other musicians
Yeah.
from somewhere else would be like, damn, I do the same thing. Or, whoa, I never thought about, you know, dumping honey down my throat so I don't, you know, ruin my vocal cords, like
Yeah.
things like that. People, if as long as you're creating content that's more than just music and maybe more about you guys as people, like
Mhm. Oh yeah. Okay, right.
Those
I
two
see that.
things completely other, and I think that your personality is just as important as your music. And if you're forgetting one or the other, that you're just kind of missing opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's all I had. If anybody else in the group's got anything. All right.
Well, I think this was very, very informational and hopefully helpful to you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I really appreciate this because, yeah, because we're starting the new year off right here. I just wanted to like see what I can do to do better to make sure that we build a broader audience and reach out more because we played Tucson before and we played the Edge Bar before
Mhm.
and we had that little connection between us and Tucson. But I would really love to play in different cities other than Tucson and other places like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even asking just like people you play with, like I think you when you came here, I think you played with my friends in Dead Rose. Am I wrong or
Yeah, we brought them to Yuma a
okay, sweet.
couple months ago. Yeah,
Yeah, so my friends in Dead Rose, they've been on the rise, huge rise. Like, so
yeah,
I would definitely like, next time you see them or next time you're kind of in talks, like definitely just maybe pop in a question and be like, hey, do you know of any shows, in Tucson where we can play or shows
yeah.
in Mesa where we can play or we like who to talk to about
Hmm.
those kinds of things. It's just making those connections with people that are outside of where you
Yeah.
are very important. So that's huge, and I hope to see
Thank
good
you,
things for
thank
you, my
you.
friend. And you can always reach out to me. I do still work with Regina on shows down here, so
Okay,
if
all right. Man.
I'll get you on something if you want to,
I appreciate that.
for sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining our Zoom.
Hmm.
Hope to see you next week, guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you guys again.
yeah, for sure, Alton.
no worries. Okay, see you
All
guys.
right then. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.